Hi guys! So today I thought I would do an updated base routine video. So how I do my foundation, how I contour, and how I highlight. Because this video is long overdue, I get a lot of questions asking why I don't include my foundation routine at the start of every video like a lot of people do. And that's because I'd find it super boring. Because I use the same routine every time I film, if I was to include that at the beginning of every video, I would get bored of it, you would get bored of it, because we all have our own routines, right? We all have our own things we do. So I thought I'd just do a dedicated video and then I can just pop this in the description of all my other videos, and then that answers everyone's questions. So my routine is kind of heavy because I learned how to do makeup through filming my YouTube videos. I have two really bright lights in front of me, so it needs to be heavy for the camera to pick it up. And it's not necessarily because I think I need a lot of makeup. Like, I quite like how I look without makeup on. It's more the fact that I see makeup as my art form, so the face is the canvas. So I like to prep the canvas and have a flawless base for the rest of the makeup to go onto. So I start off with a primer, and I know a lot of people skip primers, but primers to me are so important. At the moment I'm using the Pore Minimizing Primer by City Cosmetics. This is not my favourite primer. It's very thick, it's very goopy, so if you're not into that kind of thing, you probably don't want to try this. You don't even want to go near it. My favourite one is the Porefessional by Benefit, but I've recently run out of this, so I need to repurchase it, but I just keep forgetting. So right here in the inner corner area next to my nose, it gets really dark and purpley, so I like to correct that. And I do that with a concealer. I use the Makeup Store Concealer Trio, and I use the Peachy shade. Peachy, orangey shades are going to be good for cancelling out the purples and the blues. And Pixie Woo actually did a really awesome video recently on colour correcting, so I will leave that in the description if you're interested. So I use the yellow to cancel out the red of spots, and you can also do this around the nose as well. Women tend to get hormonally red around here, so I do that sometimes as well. Moving on to foundation, I use the Tarte Amazonian Clay Full Coverage Foundation. It has an SPF of 15, it has 12-hour wear, it's oil-free, and I use the shade Light Sand. So I just dot a bit of this on with my fingers, and I don't use a lot of it. I really only use foundation to kind of even out my skin tone because my face is quite red, but if you look at my forehead and you look at my neck, there are definitely warm undertones there. So I just kind of use this to even out the middle of my face. This foundation is absolutely lovely. I did a review of this on my blog if you're interested, so I'll link that below. But I started using this after my Estee Lauder double wear, because I loved the double wear and how long it lasted and how full coverage it was, but it was starting to dry my skin out. But this came into my life and it's here to stay because I really enjoy it. It does have a lot more movement to it than the Estee Lauder Double Wear, but I think once you get used to it and you know which places to set, so for me it's around like my mouth, I get smile lines, and my forehead creases up a bit. But once you get used to it, I feel like this is a really nice foundation, and it's a lot kinder to my skin as well. I don't find my skin drying out when I wear it like I was finding with my Estee Lauder Double Wear. Because it's quite a thick foundation, I find if you use a brush, it can look kind of cakey. So instead I started using a beauty blender. This isn't a beauty blender, this is the Real Techniques one, but you know, that kind of thing, like the sponge. So you just wet this and then you just bounce it all over the skin. And this gives such a natural finish. Like, I couldn't believe how much of a difference this made. Like, whenever people will talk about how great these kind of sponges were, I'd just be like, yeah, whatever, I've got my Sigma Kabuki brush, I'm good. But I was wrong. These are life-changing, and I don't even know how. But if you like quite a natural finish to a foundation, then you want to try one of these. And of course, if you can just build up as well. This foundation allows you to build, so if there's any super red bits showing through, or I don't know, like spider veins or something, you can just like put a bit of foundation on this and then just bounce that into the skin as well. Recently I've changed the concealer that I'm using underneath my eyes, and before I would use the MAC Pro Longwear, but in the same way that my Estee Lauder one was kind of drying, I found this was also doing the same kind of thing. Like underneath my eyes would look kind of crusty and it was gross. So instead I'm using the Tarte Maracuja Creaseless Concealer. It's full coverage, creaseless, waterproof. It's really weird. It's not cream, it's not liquid, it's like a weird sticky gel, but I think that is how it doesn't crease. Like, it sticks to itself and it has movement to it. So I apply this underneath the eyes and down the center of the nose. Not so much as a highlight, even though it is slightly lighter than my foundation, but just because these areas just need extra coverage. I go in straight away with a powder. I have always used the NYC Smooth Skin Translucent Powder because this makes your skin look like a baby's arse. Like, it makes you look so smooth, and it's only about £3, so it's super cheap. And it's the best translucent powder I have ever used, and it sets things in place. I used this and then I got my hands on, I think it was a Makeup Forever translucent powder, like a pressed powder, and it was awful in comparison, so this guy is a winner. I would also use the powder around my nose as well, and around my mouth and my forehead. So I've been using Tarte's Park Avenue Princess Bronzer recently, which is a lot lighter than what I'm used to using, but I think it works a lot better with my skin tone. Like, before I would use really dark orangey bronzers, think kind of like, I haven't used Hoola bronzer by Benefit. Is it by Benefit or The Balm? I don't know, one of them. But it was that kind of colour, which was just way too much. Like, it looked fine on camera, but in person it was kind of crazy. Whereas this one, I can get away with wearing this in person and on camera. So I would apply this in the typical areas where you would apply bronzer. So basically around the face. Then, depending on the kind of look I'm doing, if I'm doing more of a heavy look, I will also go in with the MUA Pressed Powder in shade 4, and this just kind of deepens that colour up. The contour shade I've been using recently is from the Kat Von D Light and Dark palette, and I've been using the shade Shadowplay, and this isn't my favourite contour shade, but it is what I've been using recently, so I might as well just show it to you. But usually I would use the Urban Decay Naked Basics, and I would use Naked 2, or I think one I'm going to start using as well is Frisk from the Urban Decay Naked 2 Basics, because they have a really nice kind of grey colour to them. They're taupey colours, which is what you should be using for contouring. You need something with that element of grey to it, because that is natural shadow. Like, natural shadow is not orange. So you need something with a bit of taupe to it to make that shadow look natural. Although I don't care for natural makeup, that's not why I do it. I like makeup to be obvious. You still gotta get the colours right. So the brush I use to contour with is the Ray Morris Deluxe Kabuki brush, and I really love this for contouring because it comes to that nice point. So you pick up the product with the point, and then you blend it in with the fluffiness of the brush, and it really works, and it gets right underneath the cheekbones and you can carve them out and it looks fabulous. Now when it comes to my nose, I do like to add that shade back in, because again, with the foundation you've taken the shade away, so you need to add it back in, but I don't have an easily contourable nose. Like, the top bits I can do fine, I can even make that look slimmer if I want to, but the bottom of my nose is really rounded, so I don't really do much to the bottom. I mean, I add the colours back in, but I don't really try and make it look slimmer. What I really don't like on me personally is really harsh contouring on my nose, so I will use my little, it looks like a little paintbrush, but it's a little Coastal Scents brush, and I'll go in with my contour shade, I'll blend it out as much as I can, and then I will also go over it with a translucent powder, or a powder, because then that contour shade is then, it looks like it's underneath skin, which is what it should look like anyway. So if you add that layer of flesh toned powder over the top of it, it's like it's sitting underneath it. You're basically creating an extra layer of skin, if that makes sense. It also tones it down a lot as well. So if you have a really heavy contour and you think, it's a bit too much, you can always go over it with a powder and it's going to dull it down a lot and make it look like it's sat underneath that lovely layer of skin I keep talking about, and it's kind of gross. So for my highlight, I use Mirror Luminizer by The Balm, and this is a super intense highlight. I love it to pieces because again, I'm not about natural looking makeup. I want my highlight to look like a highlight, so I use a really intense one. So I'll take this across my cheekbones, down the center of my nose. I do like a highlighted nose. I don't really like a very obviously contoured nose, but I do like a really nice line of highlight down the center. I don't know why, I just do. So I take that down the center of the nose, on the cupid's bow, on my chin, center of my forehead, and is that it? I think that's it. I also like to put that right in the inner corner as well, where that darkness is. So my favourite blush is Cherry Apple by Sigma, and it's from their Creme de Couture collection, so you can't buy it anymore, I'm sorry, but it is such a beautiful colour. I think it suits me, and I hardly ever change blush. Like, I have tons of blushes that have been sent to me over the years and I just don't use them because I just love this to pieces. So because I do get kind of hot working in front of these lights, my makeup does like to move around a bit, so I do like to set my makeup, and for this video I use the Makeup Academy Pro Base because I'm out of my favourite setting spray. This is nice if you want a matte finish, but I do prefer the NYX Dewy Finish Long Lasting Setting Spray. Love this stuff. So I will just spray this, not onto my face because I always end up with just patches just everywhere. So instead I'll spray it onto my sponge and then dab it in instead. And I feel like I can get into areas better as well if I do it this way. But then that's it. That is how I get to this, my flawless canvas. I really hope that answers some of your questions about maybe techniques or brushes or products. I really hope you can get something from this. Come and follow me on all my social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, it's all down there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.